The Breaking the Curse film, again, man, like you said, you've always been someone that you're a storyteller in a bit. You're a creator, you're a creative. That's kind of how I look at you. But you obviously had a story to tell, but I'm curious just the overall inspiration for, as we sit here literally talking on, basically we'll say 10 years to the date, you won that national championship and you got those rings and created those memories. I mean, what sparked the inspiration to really, like, a lot of people have ideas like that, but you took action and obviously have made a fantastic film, which you can give the people some insight of when that'll drop or when they can, obviously the trailer's out, breakingthecursefilm.com. So you want to go there and check that out. But were you sitting around one day like, you know what, I got a lot of valuable insight and content and everything else and perspective on this the best time in kind of baseball history? Like, what was the overall inspiration? What made you want to do it?
So as you said, I've always been into storytelling. And that was sort of what I wanted to make career profession if I could, right? Get paid to do what you love. That's the ultimate goal. So Jackie and the boys still playing. Good for them.
Witt out here casually leading MLB in hits. No big deal.
4 years in a row, right? No whatever. And by the way, we've got all those guys. I shot Jackie on the field at Fenway Park. Whit Merrifield.
Walker? You got Walker too?
Got Walker. We got Walker in Reno when he was playing in a AAA game against Roth.
Oh, wow.
So we had all three of us together at one point talking with Reno in our back. It was awesome, man. And then later it was great. Evan ended up playing with Walker on that AAA team. Okay. Which is just bizarre. I mean, they were best friends in college. And best friends now playing together in AAA.
Wild how that happened.
It's crazy. So, and the successes those guys have had is, and that's another valuable note is that it's a complete rare thing for a team to, for a guy to make the majors from any team. Right. Rare. We've had 10 guys make the majors from 2010 to 12 teams. Yeah. And it's just like
it didn't happen by accident.
Yeah, it did not. So when there's all this talk of like, and even ourselves call this average Joes at times. Yeah. And like, probably they look at left field at me. I'm not a first rounder. So like on paper, yes, some of these guys are better, but no, they weren't, man. Yeah. And so for me, I was on these teams, lived it, walked it, breathed it. But my experience at USC ended unfavorably. Yeah. Very unfavorably, in fact. And so, which was the 2012, we almost won again, as you guys know. So it's a very strange thing there's a whole lot of details into that, but the way my experience ended at USC was very unfavorable. So I always had a sort of bad taste left in my mouth, for lack of better terms. And what happened is I left baseball pretty abruptly and then was just done with it. Right. And so about 5 years went by and I had found myself road tripping across the country, living all over. I lived in Charlotte for a period as well. And I found myself wanting to get back into baseball a little bit. Right. And I was living in Humboldt County, Cali in Northern California. Wow. And ended up coaching a high school JV baseball team. Right. And had a great time with it. And then a couple buddies of mine were still playing ball. One of them, Alex Lee, who's a still good friend of mine, was at Wofford player. He was playing ball in Australia. And I had a couple buddies still playing internationally. And I was like, I could probably maybe do something like that. Right. And so I put myself out into an international league and ended up finding myself not only playing, but head coaching a professional Swedish team. They called me up 2 weeks before the season started and said, "Hey, our coach just bailed on us. We need a coach and a player. Can you come out?" So literally, and I had sort of fibbed that I had coaching experience. Right. I had JV high school coaching experience. Hey, experience. So I called Ray and Billy Anderson and a few guys. I'm like, I need workouts. I have to coach a professional team now all of a sudden. And like, dude, so I went out to Sweden after having left, Carolina 5 years later and ended up playing a whole season. Had a great experience. Put myself at every position, but second base and catcher.
Love that.
I literally even pitched out there. And we played against the Swedish national team and had some real cool times out there. But, then I was like kind of back into baseball. And so I had been sitting on, like I mentioned earlier, all this cell phone content of just really cool perspectives of what now stands as one of the greatest teams ever. Yeah. One of the greatest eras of all
college baseball history.
In college baseball history, period. Arguably so. I mean, there's a few other teams you could argue, but hard to tout that one.
Well, it did something that no team will ever do again, man. Closed down Rosenblatt, opened up. I mean, nobody can ever claim that.
And some of these records may never get broken either.
No,
the postseason wins,
like 22 in a row, I think.
Yep.
No,
and
no chance. There's no chance.
The wins in Omaha spans 3 years, so it's some of these may never get broken again.
No,
so no one had told the story yet, right? And so I was like, maybe I should tell the story. And got home from Scandinavia, and actually while I was out there, Andy Demetria wrote up an article on me. It was kind of like he had found out I was playing out there. So they wrote this really cool article. I was like kind of back in USC grant, like land and like whatever. And so I approached Ray and called him up and said, hey, I want to do this film. I got this is my idea. I want to go get all this stuff. Let's do it. And so they loved the idea. They knew. And by the way, what I found out was there was numerous people that tried to tell the story already. There was a couple different production companies, another individual I met, that they just, whether it was the means, the relationships, the money to do so, they couldn't do it.
Right.
So it was always meant to be my story to tell.
Right.
Now it's come a super long way in a couple years. And like I said, it's been 4 years since the very first idea went out back to Ray. Right. And most of that time has just been spent trying to raise money to do any of it. Right. And unfortunately, I never raised like 200 grand to just go do it all. So it'd be, here's 20K, get you a couple interviews. Then I'm like in 4 months of trying to raise more money. Then it's like, here's a little more so it's just like hard, grueling process to try to tell this beautiful story. Yeah. But within that, I mean, I've learned so much, as a player on the teams, things I didn't even know, and so, we've really dove into the extent of what these championships meant, what it meant for the city, for the state, even what it meant for Baylor Teal family, for Charlie Peters family. Have you ever heard the name Gamecock Larry?
I have heard, calls into 107.5 or did, I guess. He still does. Yeah.
He still does. And he actually gave a little money to the film, and he's been a diehard Gamecock fan since the 40s. And there's so many stories of these guys and people that we've heard that just meant so much to them, right? And so I took it. So I was sort of placed this responsibility to tell the story of these teams, of what we accomplished, but also do justice to what Baylor Teal's family went through and Charlie Peters, and to accurately depict our story in a way that sort of satisfies everybody, right? And to still bring in the sexy Wingo plays and the crazy baseball wins, but also like we're going to tug at your heartstrings too. So we're trying to tell the full story, and it's been quite a process. I've got some really strong leads right now. What we're doing right now though is we're trying to make the full feature film, but what the newest idea is we're trying to make a more localized series. USC is trying to get their own content channel going, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they're pretty close to doing that.
Wow.
And there's schools already that have that.
Yeah.
So like Texas A&M is making full-blown documentaries, and actually our content's done well. Like USC puts out fairly decent content, and they even won some Emmys for a Gamecock Confidential series, you might remember.
Yep.
And actually that's who I've been working with, Jonathan Hilliard, on this project, a good amount. He worked on that series. Right. And so anyways, the newest idea is, outside of the documentary, we want to do like a more localized series that brings the best 20, 30, 40 minutes from our interviews, shows these guys best plays, because now we've done almost 30 interviews from every guy you want to see, right? Pretty much, and still plan to do a few more. But the problem is most of that won't make the feature film,
right? So
most of that will be cut. So the idea is we want to bring, for Carolina people that actually would care to see what these full interviews are. True diehards. We're trying to bring a more localized series that'll kind of take you much deeper in and tell even, because so the idea for me taking on this story too is we shot a lot of it like this, it's a conversation almost, and because I was able to bring stuff out of these guys that no reporter could, and so and some of it's pretty X-rated, might I say. But no, we got all the stories. And so we're trying to do that too. So I suspect hopefully sooner than later, we're going to have some real cool content for Carolina people.
That's awesome.
And they've been demanding. I mean, it's, Another thing is I could have finished this time and time again, to be honest, but I
Mm.
kept wanting to make it as professional and to do justice
Yeah.
to the story and to not just make some chump little put together some
Right.
crap documentary that lasts 30 minutes and that's that. I've been really trying to do this proper, and it will be worth it in the long run, and y'all will have some content soon enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have like a target date, or I feel like it's something you've been getting after for a while.
Yeah,
And then, like you said, I think it's smart, man. You only get one opportunity really to tell the stories. Once
Sure.
it's out, it's out. But I mean, is there a timeline of when you want to get it out? Or
Yeah, I mean, we were ideally wanting it to have it out now for
Right.
the 10-year reunion
Yeah.
and all that. It didn't happen. So much of that is logistics and dollars
Right,
and who
right.
has say-sos and whatever. So I'm just sitting on this golden pile of content, right? Just like amazing stuff. So I'd love to have like something like the series I was talking about out this summer.
Yeah.
Like actually out. But the problem is I'm not sure of Carolina, where that would go quite
Right,
yet.
right.
And the other thing is I've been in conversations with some big networks, ESPN, the producer of The Last Dance, a bunch of other networks I've been talking to that are interested in this story and want to do it. It's just, there's so many logistical nightmares you have to deal with when going through with these networks. So to like see it to screen, it has been just as difficult as actually making it, which was just, if not more difficult, as actually winning the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't say specifically when, sooner than later. But I have the most momentum we've had yet, and something's going to hit soon.
That's awesome, man. It's just crazy to think 10 years. Like, it's just wild.
Right.
It's wild to think today is that day.